Yo, what's up guys, it's King Sean here, and day one of the NFL Combine just wrapped up. So in today's video, I want to talk about some takeaways I got from day one. Today, D linemen and linebackers worked out, so I want to talk about some guys that really caught my eye today and impressed me. But before we get into today's video, make sure y'all leave a like down below, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And with that out of the way, let's get straight into today's video. All right, so I did kind of lie about the combine being over. The linebacker drills are still going on right now. So I want to start off with some edge rushers that really stood out to me during the combine today. And I want to start off with James Pierce Jr. James Pierce Jr. is one of my favorite edge rushers in this entire class. He, to me, is the second best pass rusher in this class, man. He is so gifted as a pass rusher, man. He really is. He's a pure speed rusher, man. His speed is insane. His explosiveness off the line, it shows on film, and he ran a 4.5 at the 40-yard dash today. And that 40-yard dash really helped him because coming into the combine, there were off-the-field concerns with James Pierce Jr., right? And earlier this morning at the combine, he got measurements. Obviously, every player at the combine has to get measurements or probably will get measurements, right? Pierce got his measurements this morning, and he had 32-inch arms. So that is shorter than expected for him to get, right? I thought he would measure in at like 33 or 34-inch arms. Only 32-inch arms, right? So that's not great. And he's 6'5", 245, right? So he is on the thinner, slimmer frame for an edge rusher. He also had a 31-inch vertical jump, right? So that's not great at all, to be honest with you. That was one of the lowest vertical jumps out of any edge rusher at the combine today, right? So that's not great. So off the field concerns, slim frame, and that bad vertical jump. It was looking bad for James Pierce Jr., not gonna lie, but when on-field workout started, the 40-yard dash, that's where he really shined, man. He is such a fluid mover, man. Like during bag drills, he looked so fluid. There was even this one drill where they made the edge rusher go side to side. It was kind of like, kind of like a footwork test kind of sort of thing. So James Pierce Jr., man, he just looks so fluid in drills today on the field workouts. He looked really good. So kind of a slow start for him in the combine with measurements and before the combine off the field concerns. But after the 40-yard dash and on-field workouts, I personally would say that James Pierce Jr., he did have a pretty solid day at the combine. And once again, he to me is the second best pass rusher in this draft. Not edge rusher, right? Because there are concerns, right? Slimmer frame, and also, will he be great at stopping the run at the next level, right? With him being only 6'5", 243, will he be able to contain, set the edge well, and stop the run, right? We shall see, right? But one thing we know he can do is pass rush very, very well. So another guy that really showed off his abilities today was Shemar Stewart. This guy is so athletically gifted, man. He's 6'5", 267 pounds. And what's interesting is that at the Senior Bowl, he weighed in at 281. He has cut down to 267, which is very impressive. And Nick Scorton, the other Texas A&M pass rusher in this draft, he was at 285. He cut down to like 259, right? And because they were in the 280s is because of what Texas A&M asked from their pass rushers, right? They needed them to really stop the run and do other specific things, and they had to put on a lot of weight in order for them to do so, right? Now that obviously they're entering the draft, they can cut some of that weight. Shemar Stewart, he ran pretty fast at the combine today, a 4.58 40. That is really, really solid for an edge rusher, especially at his size. He had a 40-inch vertical, which is insane, and a 10-11 broad jump, which is unbelievable. So this guy is crazy athletic. I have a top 20 grade on him. I have Nick Scorton at top 25. Scorton also had a really good day as well. He didn't take part in the 40-yard dash. However, on the field workouts, he looked really good, very fluid. He moved well. So that's another guy that if he makes it to 29, he could be a very possible option. But I feel like he has a higher floor and he may be the safer pick. But Shemar Stewart, man, he has an insane ceiling. I don't even know if he has a ceiling because of how athletically gifted he is and how many tools he has, right? He just has to put it all together. at Texas A&M, limited production, right? Only 4 sacks in his entire career, right? So, we got to get them numbers up. But because of how toolsy athletic he is, I feel like if he goes to the right situation, he could really be unlocked. Another guy that I thought had a really nice day was Landon Jackson. He has a 9.88 RES score. And shout out to Kent Lee Plate, Math Bomb on Twitter. This guy provides RES scores every single year, man. Great RES scores. Make sure y'all go check his page out because he gives very good athletic scores. These graphics are awesome, man. So Landon Jackson, super athletic, 6'6", 264 pounds. He's a really good run stopper, and he's really good at setting the edge. If you need a guy that can set the edge, which we absolutely need, Landon Jackson, he might be a guy that you want to target in this draft. He had a 40.5 vertical jump, which is unbelievable, and he had a 10.09 broad jump, which is really freaking good, right? So Landon Jackson, he had a really good day today. 4.69 40-yard dash, which is very solid, especially for a guy at that size. And he had a 1.69 10-yard split, which isn't bad at all. And he also looked pretty solid in on-the-field workouts. So Landon Jackson, he had a really good day. Right now, I have him projected to go in like the second round. But, hey, man, he had a really good combine. Maybe there's a way he sneaks into the first round. We shall see the back end of it, which is where we picked. But right now, I have him going second round. And if he falls to our pick in the second, that's a guy that I could definitely consider us targeting. We did set up a formal meeting for him or with him later on today or later on this week at the combine, I guess, whenever. So, that's a guy that we definitely may be interested in. Another guy that I feel like stood out today was Antoine Powell-Ryland, defensive end from Virginia Tech. Not the greatest size, 6'2", 258 pounds, so a little undersized for an edge rusher. However, had a really good 40-yard dash, 4.74, which is really good. He had a 38.5 vertical jump and a 10.4 broad, which is really good. And I also think he looked very good in on-the-field workouts. He moved around really good, had good footwork, had good bend, in my opinion. So he's a guy that I feel like is a very underrated defensive end option in this draft. Some of the defensive line and edge rusher 3-cone drill test results just came in. And at the top of this list, you see Donovan Ezeraku. He is honestly my favorite edge rusher prospect out of anybody in this draft. It's probably him at 1 and James Pierce Jr. at 2. This guy is a dog, and I feel like he should go round 1. This guy is a round 1 defensive end, in my opinion. He's so good, really productive at Boston College, has long arms, man. He is super lengthy, 34-inch arms. Now, he's only 6'2", want to say around 250 pounds, right? So you could say a little undersized. However, man, he has a real pass rush bag. He's a great pass rusher. He's pretty solid at stopping the run as well. Now, with his size, he may struggle a little bit when it comes to stopping the run and setting the edge, so that may be a concern. However, man, this guy is a beast of a pass rusher, man. And he had a really good 3-cone test, and 3 cones obviously used to test agility, and a 6.94 3-cone test. That is really good. He also had, let me see if I can find it, a 4.19 shuttle, so that's really good. And I even saw a graphic, I want to say a week or two ago, and it talked about how Adam Peters really looks into shuttle times when it comes to evaluating prospects, right? Because it brings out their agility, right? And he drafted a couple of players last year in our draft class who posted up really good agility scores. I think Luke McCaffrey and Ben Sinnott were 2 of them. So when it comes to evaluating prospects, Adam Peters, he looks at those shuttle times because it gives him a good idea of how these players are agility-wise. Now I want to talk about some guys in the D-tackle position group that looked really good and stood out to me from today. Darius Alexander and Derek Harmon. Those 2 guys have been receiving a lot of buzz over the past couple of weeks now. Darius Alexander really since the Senior Bowl, and Derek Harmon is one of the better names at the D-tackle position group. Well, this D-tackle class is loaded, but Derek Harmon, he's one of the top guys, and Darius Alexander, he's been getting a lot of buzz as well. And obviously, we do have a need at D-tackle, and especially with us moving on from John Allen, or at least most likely, right? Because He's still on the roster technically. However, it is looking like we're probably going to trade or cut him, right? So Darius Alexander, he has a 9.72 RES score, which is really good. He posted up really good numbers in the 40-yard dash, a 4.96, which is really good, especially at his size, 6'3", 305 pounds, had a 10-yard split of 1.73, which is really what is important when it comes to D tackles. What's your 10-yard split? In Darius Alexander, a 1.73 10-yard split. Hey man, that shows up on tape too. He's really quick off the ball, and he does a good job of beating O-linemen with quickness as well. So he is pretty quick. And then Derek Harmon, can I find his RES score? I don't think they have it posted just yet, so can't find his RES score, but I do know he had a really good 40 time, and both guys, Darius Alexander and Derek Harmon, they looked very, very good in on-the-field workouts. Now, one guy that really stood out to me, Jared Harrison Hunt, he went to SMU, so he put up a 9.39 RES score, which is really good. That's his RES score right now. A 40-yard dash of 4.95 or 4.85 actually, which is very impressive, and a 1.7 40 or 10-yard split. He also is 6'3", 290 pounds, so a little bit lighter with the weight, but that's still not a bad weight at all, right? He also put up a 32-inch vert, which is really good for a D tackle, and a 9.3 broad jump. So this guy really stood out at the combine as well, and I didn't really see a lot of people talking about him. So he's a guy that really did stand out to me. I thought he looked really good in on-the-field workouts. He looked like a good mover, and he looked really good specifically in the bag drill. So I think this guy, he looked really good to me as well today. This D tackle class is so stacked though that I'm confident that we'll be able to find a very solid D tackle, maybe in the mid rounds, maybe third round. If we somehow acquire a fourth round pick, then fourth round, but most likely third round, maybe higher than that. You know, it depends on really what we do in free agency, right? So if we decide to fill in a lot of our top needs like edge rusher, receiver, cornerback in free agency, then I feel like we may be able to grab one of the top D tackles early on, maybe in the first round or second round, right? We'll see. But, you know, we could grab a D tackle in the fifth round, right? Day 3. So this D tackle class is so loaded that we'll be able to grab a starting caliber or a very solid D tackle in any one of these rounds in the draft. And then real quick, just want to go over some of the guys that stood out to me during linebacker drills. Really just 2 guys stood out to me because, once again, this isn't a great linebacker class. You know, there's some guys that are good, and I'll mention them real quick right now. Jahad Campbell is a guy that Daniel Jeremiah had us taking in his last mock draft, and that's kind of random. I'm not going to lie. Like, Jahad Campbell. You know, I expect us to bring back Bobby Wagner, right? So I don't really see us spending high capital or high money or a lot of money on a linebacker, right? And a guy like Jahad Campbell is most likely going to go in the first round. And after watching his combine performance, yeah, he's definitely going to go in the first round, man. A 4.52 unofficial 40-yard dash at 6'2", 235 pounds. And this guy has been getting a lot of comps to our own guy, Frankie Louvu. Jahad Campbell not only is able to play off-ball linebacker, of course, but he's also able to occasionally rush the passer off the edge as well. So this guy is very versatile, and he literally sounds like a clone of Frankie Louvu. He would fit pretty well in this defense if that's what he is, right? So Jahad Campbell, hey man, I know linebacker may surprise some. However, if you really want to go BPA, and if Jahad Campbell is BPA on your board at 29, and if you want to take him, hey man, I'm starting to warm up to it, because at first I'm like, when Daniel Jeremiah had us taking Jahad Campbell, I'm like, linebacker? You sure, bro? I mean, I'm not saying linebacker isn't a need. However, it's not one of our top needs, right? And there got to be some better players than Jahad Campbell on the board at 29, right? But hey, man, after watching his combine performance, he looked really good. So I wouldn't be mad at us taking a flyer on Jahad Campbell at 29, right? He also looked really good on the-field workouts. He was a smooth mover, man, during bag drills and really all of the on-the-field workouts, man. He's definitely the top linebacker in this year's draft class. Nick Martin is another guy that caught my eye as well. He ran a 4.53 40-yard dash, which is really fast for a linebacker, so he has really good speed, and he also has really good footwork. He showed that off in linebacker drills. So there aren't a lot of linebackers I'm interested in this year's draft. However, Nick Martin and Jahad Campbell are definitely two guys that I would not mind drafting at some point in our draft class this year. So Nick Martin is a guy that I would definitely watch out for because he is a very fluid mover, has very good footwork, and has really good speed. All right, so that's really it for day one of the NFL Combine. Those were my takeaways and a recap. A lot of players rose their stock today, obviously as expected. James Pierce Jr., man, I feel like he could be there at 29 with all the concerns sort of around him. Man, he is a beast, man. He is so good as a pass rusher, man. Once again, in my opinion, the second best pass rusher in this draft. Not the second best edge rusher, but the second best pass rusher, just behind Abdul Carter. So he's a beast. Landon Jackson, I think he rose his stock a little bit, as well as Shamar Stewart. I think he may go top 15 now. I had him going top 20 before the Combine. After today, he might go top 15, man. So I think he rose his stock a good amount as well. So there are a lot of guys that rose their stock today. Jahad Campbell is another guy as well. If he was not a first round lock before today, he definitely is now. So this was a really good first day of the Combine. Took a lot of good stuff away, and obviously still got a bunch more homework to do on a lot of these position groups. I will be getting deep into other position groups as the offseason wears on. So that is it for today's video. Hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you're not already subbed up. Comment down below which guys stood out at the Combine today. And other than that, it's been Keyshawn, and I'm out. Peace.